And it's great to have you with us here to start a new week. And we begin tonight with fast-moving developments involving the coronavirus here in the U.S. Tonight, the virus has now taken at least 6 lives here in the U.S., and there are at least 100 confirmed cases. The toll growing, and with testing, they are expecting that number to rise. On Friday here, those cases diagnosed in 9 states from California to Massachusetts. And tonight, take a look. At least 4 more states, including New York and Florida, more than a dozen states now. And those 6 deaths attributed to the virus, 4 of them at a nursing care facility in Kirkland, Washington. Schools closed in several locations, this one in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And the first case now in New York City, what we've learned about her. And the governor today saying they hope to be able to test 1,000 people a day. Dr. Jen Ashton standing by to answer your questions tonight. Has the virus been circulating in some U.S. communities for weeks now? We begin tonight in Washington State, the center of a lot of concern. ABC's Kaylee Hartung in Kirkland, Washington tonight.
Tonight, a growing emergency outside Seattle. The death toll from the coronavirus climbing to 6 in Washington state.
The risk for all of us of becoming infected will be increasing.
4 of those victims lived at this nursing care facility, now the center of this outbreak. Colleen Mallory's 89-year-old mother, Peggy, who suffers from dementia, is a resident.
You know, if she gets sick, she's going to be gone.
Colleen got to see her mom today, but fears she's been exposed to the virus.
They wouldn't tell me anything about her roommate, who has been removed from the facility. And my mom's been in the room with her for all this time.
New research suggests the virus has been quietly spreading here for weeks, often by people without symptoms. Across the country, the number of cases climbing to at least 100 across 13 states. Today, Travis Air Force Base in California releasing about 140 passengers from the Diamond Princess cruise ship after weeks in quarantine. But the mayor of San Antonio declaring a state of emergency, moving to block any evacuees quarantined at nearby Laughlin Air Force Base from entering the city. The mayor slamming the CDC for releasing a woman hours before a final test for the virus came back positive.
I find it totally unacceptable that CDC would release a patient prior to receiving all test results and potentially expose the public to this harm. We simply cannot have a screw-up like this from our federal partners.
That infected person visited a hotel, a mall, and a food court before being put into isolation. New York State hopes to be able to test up to 1,000 people a day after announcing its first case in Manhattan. A 39-year-old healthcare worker who returned from work in Iran is now self-quarantining at her home with her husband. Officials are reaching out to fellow passengers on her flight and her livery cab driver.
There is no doubt that there will be more cases where we find people who test positive. We said early on, it wasn't a question of if, but when. This is New York. We're a gateway to the world.
The city now disinfecting more schools, buses, and subways. In Rhode Island, this high school is closed and 38 people under quarantine after a student and faculty member tested positive for the virus following a school trip to Italy. And as the virus spreads, Americans from coast to coast taking no chances, braving long lines to stock up on supplies, finding some shelves bare.
And Kaylee joins us tonight from outside that nursing care center. And Kaylee, health officials there in Washington, I know, are preparing for the situation to get much worse, even planning to set up special isolation units. How will this work?
Well, David, today we learned that officials are in the process of buying a motel and bringing in modular housing units, all to put people in who need to be in isolation. We already know of dozens of first responders and healthcare workers who are quarantined tonight, many of them because they were exposed to the virus here at this nursing home. Washington state is bracing for this virus to continue to spread.